welcome to Gab and Jam, episode 132. Our topic today is getting rid of urban music category. Now what? So this is in response to the Insider.com article by Callie Ahlgrim, and the whole article is about the music industry is finally getting rid of the term urban to categorize black music, but it's not enough, is her big point. In her post, she discusses the idea that Republic Records, followed by the Grammys soon after, call themselves getting rid of labels that simply group all black artists but don't reflect the actual genre that the artists are representing. They give the example as Frank Ocean winning 2013 Grammy in the Best Urban Contemporary category for his Channel Orange album, which no one considered contemporary R&B or whatever it was that they were looking at. And there were other things like Beyonce not winning Record of the Year, but then she won like Urban something in, 2017. So just that type of thing where black artists don't seem to do to win Album of the Year, Record of the Year, but they all seem to be lumped under these categories. So the question is, if getting rid of the category, is that the solution?
Right. So it's one of these type of things where, and I think Tyler, the Creator, kind of brought this up too, because Tyler, the Creator, his album Igor is not what they would say, a typical rap record. It's not necessarily a typical hip hop record, and it kind of just begs the question that if Tyler, the Creator, were a white artist, where would that record be categorized?
Right.
How would they categorize that record? And the same token is if Post Malone were a black artist. Would there be a spot for him? Or, then B, how would you categorize his work?
Right.
Because it has these hip hop sensibilities to it, but it's not just that.
Right.
It's a whole panoply of a whole bunch of different things. And to me, there are a bunch of tweener artists out there, from Anderson .Paak to, Childish Gambino, that kind of bring in elements of rap, hip hop, and pop, and just all kinds of things. And so I think what Tyler's argument is that, hey, these artists get ghettoized under that category of quote unquote urban. And so I think the question becomes, so if you get rid of urban, what is going to happen to these artists?
Right. If you get rid of that classification, does that mean that either you just replace it with another moniker that just really is the new keyword for putting all the artists there, or do those artists not have a place at the label? If you can't call them pop,
just throw them in the urban. You feel like you can't call them pop. So now, if you do have an artist who's black, who sounds like Post Malone, do you say, well, that's not really an audience for you?
Right.
Is that kind of where you have to go? Where, because now you're not quite sure how I market this particular artist.
Right.
Because you don't think maybe a black audience will necessarily get them, and maybe you feel like they're too black for a white audience. I mean, I don't know as far as the labels go anymore if that's the way they think anymore. It's hard for me to say that.
It was weird for Gary Clark Jr. I was just looking over some of his things, and it says that he was up for a couple of blues awards, but he actually won a Rock Performance Award for This Land, and I'm saying that is more adequately, to me, rock actually more adequately categorizes that song, than blues.
But I think it's sort of like he started off, in the blues category. Like his first album was probably closer to blues. But again, it's hard to say because I don't know if Gary Clark Jr. is any more of a blues guitar player than Jimi Hendrix was. Jimi Hendrix was definitely a blues guitar player, but he was a rock player too, and so. So if Jimi Hendrix is rock, then why isn't Gary Clark Jr. rock?
I guess that's also with Fantastic Negrito. I was surprised when when you originally told me that he was in the blues category, and I'm not saying that he doesn't do some bluesy things, but more the new stuff. And I mean, I guess, is there room for them to grow into different categories? I mean, is there that flexibility?
Right.
Because the newer stuff, I don't hear the blues as much. I hear it as like a thin line throughout the work versus this sounds like a blues record.
And again, and that goes back to, I think, Tyler the Creator's point, is that does this ghettoization happen more with black artists than it does with white artists? I mean, so for instance, if, you know, Bob Dylan does blues songs, does he lose his category, you know, all of a sudden make it where I don't know what to do with Bob Dylan's record? I mean, or, you know, Bruce Springsteen or any other artist.
And then this article mentioned that Herbie Hancock was one of the few who won Record of the Year in 2008, but it's because he did a covers album of somebody else's work, so it wasn't for his own work. And it's like, it's just really mind-blowing.
But in a way, it's sort of like, it may have been for that Possibilities record that he did, you know, so where he had a host of different artists on there, kind of exploring different, you know, avenues. And for the Grammys, that kind of thing, this president was already set with that, with Santana and Supernatural, you know, kind of doing that. And I think Sheryl Crow did it too, but it didn't necessarily work out for Cheryl when she did it, you know. But yeah, that kind of thing kind of happening, you know, we tend to accept that, but I just wonder, like, with these younger artists, especially younger artists who have those hip hop elements, you know, as, you know, a central component of their sound. You know, the black ones especially, does it become kind of difficult to say, okay, you know, we're going to look at this as a pop artist and not necessarily as a hip hop / black artist? And maybe there's this thing too, because for the longest, and I'm not sure if this is something that's the same within the industry, but at one time it used to be you had to make it with the black audience first. And then you can cross over. So, you know, like Prince kind of started off the same way. You know, it's like he started off, you know, more heavy R&B type stuff, and I think he had like a second album he had is I Want to Be Your Lover as his first kind of R&B hit, and then, you know, Dirty Mind drops, and that kind of sets the stage for Prince going elsewhere. But, you know, even with album, you know, if you think about Controversy that came after that, you know, it still had Do Me Baby on it, which was definitely an R&B favorite and less work. And so, you know, that... So
he still was categorized as an R&B?
He was still categorized as an R&B artist. And he, you know, he was kind of categorized that way, I would say, up until at least 1999. You know, where he had the crossover hits, you know, 1999 and Little Red Corvette. And MTV. And so that kind of begs my question again, is that are the labels just have do they just have an old way of thinking? Because you would think now that artists have YouTube and other you know social media platforms in order to get out there with their videos, and so that serves the same purpose that MTV served a long time ago, but you have no gatekeepers, you know. And so maybe it's just the labels not catching up to where the audience
where the market is,
where they actually are, you know, that they are assuming that white audiences won't accept A, B, C, D, F, G from a black artist, and maybe the white audience out there saying, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? If I like it, I like it. You know, I mean, I'm so used to seeing black folks doing blah, 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 whatever else. I'm not thinking about that. Just give me the music. If I like it, I like it. You know, and so, I mean, that's definitely a possibility that's out there, because it hasn't stopped rap.
No.
You know, I mean, rap has made its bread and butter off of white people. You know, so,
and liberal and conservative alike, which is so amazing.
So I mean, it's kind of hard to say that there is this racial component to this aspect. You know, meaning that it's coming from the audience.
Right.
Now maybe it's coming from the labels. You know, maybe it's coming from the labels, X. Maybe it's coming from the way that they think. Maybe it's coming from their marketing teams. Maybe it's coming from those people. But it's hard to say that it's coming from the public at large. You know, it's the same thing. MTV started playing Prince and Michael Jackson, and people ate it up. So who knows? Maybe if they actually played Rick James, they would have ate him up too. I don't know. I mean, so I mean, again, it's just one of those type of things where you just hope the fact that they, you know, by getting rid of the label, that they don't get rid of
the possibilities,
and
that they actually listen to the music and try to figure out based on the actual content and not just the color.
Right. Have you changed that mindset?
Right.
You know, I understand that you're doing this great thing of saying, okay, I'm getting rid of the label.
Right.
But has the mindset that created the label, that started to ghettoize artists, has that changed? It seems like the public's mindset has changed.
Right.
The question is, has the label's mindset changed? You know, and can they tap into that and just allow, you know, black artists to be artists? And to me, this reminds me of the discussion we had a while back about Black History Month. It's like, you know, I mean, at the inset, you know, Black History Month, it was necessary. We need to have that. But, you know, once there's been a movement to subsume that within American history.
Because it's American history.
It is. And you're talking about blacks in American history, you know, 12 months out the year, 365 days a year, along with everybody else who's a part of it, then, you know, we can let it go. You know, I'm fine with that. Let it go after that. But, you know, you have to know that the attitude has actually changed. You know, that created Black History Month in the first place. And so that's the same thing. So the attitude that led to you ghettoizing these black artists, has that changed? Before you just say, oh, we got rid of the label though. You know, I mean, because a lot of times,
get the press release
sorry about y'all liberals. Y'all have a tendency to do that. You get rid of the label and you think you're nothing. You're nothing. So you got to change the attitude that created. Because the label is nothing wrong with it. Urban only refers to city, just like rural standing alone. You know, there's nothing wrong with that word. And it's not a bad word. It's not anything like that. So city, you know, that's what it means. Okay, so cosmopolitan, whatever, however you want to look at it, that's it. It's the attitude that you brought and attached to the word. You know, and the feelings and all the rest of it that was attached to the word, that's what made it feel like the N-word to the artists who were labeled that.
Well, and especially if it's something, and I mean, I'm not saying that he was under this category, but if you would throw a Lenny Kravitz or any other black artist coming through that's doing what he's doing. I mean, Lenny Kravitz has risen above because he's a legend now, but I'm saying somebody who's coming along who's brand new. If you would throw them under the urban category, then again, that seems like a dumping ground.
Well, see, what starts to happen though is because you have this idea of what an urban artist should kind of sound like, is that I think there may have been other Lenny Kravitzes out there who just never got a shot. Just simply because they were kind of like, saying, yeah, but Lenny's kind of different, you know? I mean, so, and just normally, black artists, you just can't do that kind of thing, right? So then you just have these Lenny Kravitz, Living Color, these couple of black artists who kind of come up that do this, you know, John Butcher, X's, you know, King's X, led by that Seven Dust, you know, you start seeing them, you know, here and there, that there's Fever 333, that's another one that's out there. So again, I mean, you know, you have them out there, but it's sort of like, they're not quite to where they should have been. Like a Fishbone. Never quite got to where our Bad Brains, you know, 24/7 Spies, these groups never got to maybe where they should have been. And how much of that was due to the labels, you know, not being forward thinking enough to understand that, you know, hey, if you give these guys a chance, you know, the audience may have to warm up to it, but you know, I guarantee you that, you know, had Prince opened up for the Rolling Stones after Purple Rain, he wouldn't have got booed like he got booed when he opened up for
Dirty Mind
to him, right? Wouldn't have happened like that. With a whole different kind of thing, you know. So again, because after a while, things change.
Yeah, right.
You know,
warmed up to them.
Yeah.
What do you think? What strategies can the music industry, or I guess major labels use, or independent labels, use to exhibit true equity of art? We would love to hear your thoughts on that. Other than that, what's coming up?
So we got the funk album coming up.
We got the funk album coming
so there'll be a
up.
lot of different things that are going to be tied along with that.
Yes. So make sure you subscribe. If you dig the vibe, be sure to
subscribe.
We're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.